Hello, my name is Ashley and this is Fatal Rattos. So welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Today's video isn't the most happy or exciting one. This is quite a sad one, but I think it's a necessary one that is important to think about and consider and talk about when it comes to pet ownership, but also when it comes to rat ownership specifically. I think as rat owners, we are much closer and much more experienced when it comes to death and loss, just because their lives are so short, and by the nature of them, we keep them in groups, and so we have more to lose. I like to see it as the opposite side of the coin to the endless amount of love that they give us. They also give us an endless amount of grief and loss, and sometimes as a rat owner it can feel like everything is happening all at once and you have to say goodbye to everybody all at once. This has happened to me. If you've seen my channel, we lost 6 boys in the span of just over a week due to an outbreak of bordetella. I have an entire video about it if you want to learn more. And I've also made, outside of that situation, I've made the decision to put 2 more rats to sleep. Both of these were kittens, and so in all of these cases the decision was different, and the circumstances were different, but I think in all of the situations, sorry, I was just laughing because Osiris tried to jump onto the sofa and didn't quite make it. I think each individual situation is individual, and each sort of rat is individual in their circumstances, but I think it's an important thing that we talk about because it's a way that we can end suffering of our animals, and it's the responsibility that we have to them to give them the best lives possible. And this also is, you know, vet care and medical care and making sure that they don't suffer. There's a lot of things at play when you are making this decision, but I think there's some helpful things to consider and sort of an overarching thing to consider is that, and that is, are they able to do the things that they did before? Are they able to climb and eat by themselves and clean themselves and dig and run around like a rat should? Is the ailment that they have something that is curable? Is the treatment stressful for them? Is there an end in sight for the treatment? Is the condition that they have something that's going to suddenly cause them a severe amount of pain and you can avoid that pain altogether by putting them to sleep before it happens? All of those things are things to consider, and it depends on the specific situation. I'll share some of my decisions a little bit later on, but the main thing to consider is, can they be a rat? Are they able to climb and dig and play and act in the ways that they used to? I think it's very easy to see a rat who's able to eat and able to drink and able to show affection to you and think that they're happy, but as they're rats they don't quite understand what's going on with them, and if they are unable to do the things that they want to do, that can be very frustrating and stressful for them, especially as they're a prey animal. I think it's important to consider, are they able to do the things that they once did? Are they able to do their favourite things? And the second part of that is, if they're on treatment for a certain condition, is it likely that they'll be able to recover from that? Is this treatment going to be stressful or painful for them? Is there any other factors at play? Are there multiple diagnoses? Are there other things going on? And then come to the conclusion on that. Now, I'm not here to say that here's a specific time when you must put an animal to sleep. I think it's a personal decision, but I think it's something that we all need to consider and think about when it's happening, but also before it happens and before it's anywhere near the time for making that decision. The first time I had to make this decision was quite a tough one. We had recently taken in new kittens from a fabulous breeder, and during the intro process, it wasn't connected to the intros, but the problem arose during the time we were doing intros. We had a kitten present with severe neurological issues, and over the course of a couple of days, he became so unwell, and it was quite unclear what was going on, and he had eventually paralysis of his back legs, and he was just absolutely miserable. We made the decision to put him to sleep because treatment for such a small young animal can be difficult, can be stressful, and given that we weren't 100% sure what was going on, there was no way to be sure that we were doing the right thing and giving the right treatment. And I think that's also something to consider. Is it something that you have a good chance at curing, or is it a guessing game? And how much stress and pain and suffering would that guessing game put on them? Which is the reason why we decided to say goodbye. And I've spoken about him before on my channel. He has always been a part of what I do and how I think about my experiences as a rat keeper, and it has shaped my decisions going forward. But it was a very unexpected thing. You don't normally expect to have to deal with such a severe health issue in such a young animal, and I think this is one of the things that has shown me that being aware and conscious and thinking about, sorry, there is a rat in a predicament over there. Osiris! The second time I had to make these decisions was during the outbreak, and I've gone through my experience extensively in a video about that situation, and the decisions that I made then to put those 6 rats to sleep were based on a variety of different things. For example, how stressful treatment was for them, how it had been going and had not been working, the incoming extreme temperatures that we were about to have in the UK that were about to make even very healthy rats uncomfortable and stressed out. And all of these factors together, given that none of the medications seemed to be helping them, and giving them the medications was extremely stressful, and the incoming weather, and just deep down inside, I knew that it would be kinder to let them go. For me, I think it's much harder to, oh god, rat spilling stuff. For me, that decision is an extremely hard one to make. However, it's worse, and I feel more guilty about letting them suffer when I know there's no chance of them getting better. That when I know the treatment that they're on is extremely stressful for them and they're just declining rapidly, I think for me, the whole experience of them being sick and being very unwell is much harder to deal with and much more guilt-inducing than putting them out of the suffering that they're in or avoiding that suffering before it starts. I think a lot of people feel guilty about making that decision, and I don't think that people should, because I think that it's a gift that we're able to give them, that they don't have to experience the suffering, or that they don't have to experience the suffering unending, that we can end it for them. And the last time I had to make this decision was back in the beginning of November when we lost our second kitten, Plum. We had adopted him with 2 other rats at the same time. They were the same age, and he started to be unwell. It was very unclear what was going on, and after some more investigation via an x-ray, we found that his chest cavity was filled with fluid, and without being able to drain that, it's unclear why it happened, and so the treatment would again be a guessing game. But also, even if we did know what was wrong with him, the treatment would be so invasive and stressful and painful for him that for the small chance that we'd be able to help him, it didn't feel fair to put him through that. So we did decide to put him to sleep, and that was, I think, one of the hardest ones, because it didn't feel fair to lose a second kitten. It felt even more unfair to lose one so close to the other losses, and just all in all, he was a very special rat to me. He had been a rat, a variety that I had been looking forward to have for a very long time. When his breeder sent a picture of him at 2 weeks to me, I fell in love with him, and I tried to ignore that feeling and put it aside and just wait to see what would happen. And I didn't want to be too excited or anything about it because I knew anything could happen, and baby rats, especially that young, sometimes can just pass away. And for it to happen and for me to have to make that decision rather than it be a spontaneous death was extremely challenging. And I don't think that making those decisions ever will be easier, but I do think that every single time it's necessary, and every single time that you make that decision, you are being selfless and doing the best thing for them, even though it's the thing that hurts you. It's a complicated situation to be in emotionally, as there's other emotions that can complicate the situation, such as guilt and just the wondering of what if and all of these things. But I think that if we are to best look after the pets that we have, we need to have these discussions with ourselves, with each other, and we need to talk about it way more than we do. And so I hope that this video is a way to start that discussion and open up the conversation. If you have anything that you'd like to share in the comments about your own personal experience or your opinions on the matter, or something that you think would be helpful for someone going through this at the moment, please comment that down below. I really would appreciate it. I hope this video was insightful, and I hope that you were able to take something away from it, and I hope that you never have to make this decision, but I know that you probably will, and I hope that when you do make this decision, you find some peace with it, and that you find the closure and the love in that decision. So thank you very much for watching. Osiris here has come to say goodbye to you. Oh, he's saying goodbye to me too. Osiris. He's a lovely boy. Aren't you? You're very nice. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. You can stick around and subscribe and like and all that things. I also have an Instagram under the name Faithful Rattos as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.